Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman. Welcome to another video of Judges for Dummies. We got our coffee here. It's early in the morning, and I probably would normally have a beer, but we're going to be talking about Judges 5, which is some of the oldest poetry in Hebrew literature. And even though there are some pre-Deuteronomistic editions and post-Deuteronomistic editions, before and later, I'll post an article below. Take a look at that on what scholars think was added and in the different time periods, which is pretty interesting. As we said before, pro-monarch, but this song has been worked in, as we've seen in the previous video. Judges 4 was commentary on Judges 5, but it was that writer's point of view. The song is much different, we find, than what the commentator tried to tell us this song was about in Judges 4. So he missed some things. What's really interesting is how the Hebrew poetry was penned. So if you look at this, some translations still preserve this format of Hebrew poetry, and this is the New Jewish Publication Society Bible, and they did preserve that in Hebrew, and it's written like this. You can see where my finger is moving. It's kind of broken up. The Hebrew's kind of broken up. That's how Hebrew poetry would look, and I tried to locate some codexes. However, I was unable to do that. Maybe if some of you know where that would be, maybe in the Aleppo Codex or what, send it in, and I'll post a link to it. At any rate, there's a lot of things going on, and the poetry here shifts views. So we go from an account of a battle to Sisera's mother waiting for him to come home, and he's not going to come home. She's wondering at the end of the poem. It's very sad about why her son maybe isn't coming home. Very beautiful and very sad. And having commentary or an explanation or is not uncommon for ancient Near Eastern literature. You find this sort of thing in Ugaritic texts and also other ancient Near Eastern literature. Very interesting. So getting on, we're going to look at an interesting part here in verse 1 and 2 of Judges 4. And we'll see how different translations translate this, because sometimes even modern translations can lean more towards the theological view and more towards the political view rather than translating what might be there. So what I'm saying is, you'll have a Hebrew word, they'll go to the third or fourth definition to emphasize something rather than using the common. And it's done, depends on how you want to translate it, but in here is a perfect example. And we're going to start reading this part in Hebrew. Vatashar Devorah Uvar ben Benoyim am Bayom Hau Lamor. On that day, see Deborah and Barak, son of Abinom, on that day, saying, Bifra Perovat Ve'Israel Behinta Nadavam Baraku Adonai. Now this is where some translations. Here, para and para, two different words, but the stress is on second syllable here, which is pretty interesting. So this could be translated when leaders led, or when unselfish leaders led, or when a leader let loose from his society and led, or gave of himself and led. But here in the New Jewish Publication Society, when locks go untrimmed. I believe it's in Numbers chapter 24. I gotta look that up, but where it has the Nazirite vow, where So here in the JPS version it says, when locks go untrimmed. So that picture gives us a picture of a dedicated Nazirite holy warriors with long hair. In Greek societies, some Greeks, especially the Spartans, did this. Grew their hair long and slice and dice. So that could either be translated to the theological, when locks go untrimmed, or to the traditional, straight up, when leaders led, or when the avenging of Israel, when people freely offered themselves. So that's pretty interesting. So here we get into the song in verse 4. O Lord, when you came forth from Seir, advanced from the country of Eden, the earth trembled, the heavens dripped, yea, the clouds dripped with water. So here, Adonai, or the divine, is using natural elements to defeat the warriors. So this poem stresses that it's not Barak nor Deborah that's doing the work on the battlefield, but the work of the divine using natural disasters. Also, at the end, the hero is Jael, the lady who fought Sisera and put a tent peg through his temple. Here, as we said in the last video, he is not sleeping. He comes in and she kills him, and he slumps at her feet. Let's see if I can find that. Verse 25, he, Sisera, asked for water, she offered milk. In a princely bowl, she offered him curds. Her left hand reached for the tent pin, her right for the workman's hammer. She struck Sisera, crushed his head, smashed and pierced his temple. At her feet he sank. Lay outstretched at her feet he sank. Lay still where he sank. There he lay, destroyed. And then the next part of that gets into Sisera's mother, who's waiting for him to return. She has all these thoughts. Maybe why is he taking so long? Maybe they're dividing the spoil, etc., etc. Previous to 27, we get complaints about tribes that didn't show. So here it's pictured as a loosely knit early tribal league who did not show sometimes. And if you didn't show later on, you were in big trouble. We know the tribe of Benjamin was wiped out. Later in Judges, almost wiped out in the Civil War because they failed to show. And it was a big warning also when Saul takes the cow, cuts it in pieces, and sends it to each of these tribes, these separate tribes, and as a warning, saying, you better show for holy war, or we're going to come looking for you. So it was kind of hard to unite everybody. It was kind of hard to get people to show for battles, and you can see that in this poem. Some people hang in the background. They don't show up. So very chaotic in this whole poem, and I'm going to post a link to some of the debates on what's added and what was previously there, some of the textual criticism. Take a look at that. It's very interesting. And also take a look at Exodus 15, Song of the Sea, another old poem. So take care, friends, and remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.